One of the great things that I like about this whole space in crypto, and especially when you focus and look at layer one blockchains, is that there's always an opportunity to get involved in the success of projects that have come and gone. And by that, what I mean is you take Ethereum, there have been so many successful projects built upon it. And on top of that, there have been so many opportunities that have been missed. But when you start looking at other layer one blockchains, building up their ecosystems and fundamentally trying to be better than their predecessors, it also opens up an opportunity for you to then also get involved in some of those successes may have missed out on when it comes to Ethereum. And in today's episode, we are going to be talking about launchpads and one particular launchpad that is looking to really be the go-to for all Solana based projects. If you like the sound of that, stay tuned. My name is Firoz from Decentralized Chain. Welcome to another video. If this is your first time here and you want to learn more about crypto, whether it's news, insights, or analysis to help you get that edge, start now by hitting the subscribe button and bell notification below. Don't miss any of my upcoming videos. More importantly, about 90% of my viewers are not even subscribed to the channel. So come on over and support the channel. I can carry on trying to bring you more of these, I would say, under the radar projects to kind of help you really enjoy some of that success. Now, in today's episode, we are going to be talking about Solanium. And this has been raised to my attention. I'm working with the great folks over at Cryptosphere Alliance Network, really to bring some much needed awareness to projects that are certainly based on all things Solana, but also I would say somewhat under the radar as well from the wider crypto community. And this particular project really draws my attention because really what they're aiming to do is provide a decentralized platform on the Solana blockchain, and it's looking to introduce as fundraising, token staking, general governance voting. You know, these are the usual things that we see that are core in a lot of projects that come to light. And let's be honest here, Solana has certainly been killing it over the past few months in terms of sentiment, in terms of price appreciation. So it only seems fair that we also have projects to look forward to on the Solana ecosystem. And here I would say one of my favorite things that I like about any project, and you know, it's certainly a strong opinion that I have in all my videos that I've done in the past, is that there is an emphasis here placed on UI and UX. And really, for me, the whole crypto space, in order for it to be adopted, it really needs a better UI and UX. And by UI UX, what we mean is user interface and user experience, how you interact with crypto from the get-go. Because we see too many projects focus on technology. And don't get me wrong, technology is a good thing. That's not what I'm saying, but what I'm also saying is that whenever we create projects in the crypto space, they really also need to be customer centric. They need to be customer first to make it easy for people to be able to participate, be part of that journey. And when we dig deeper into the Solanium platform, and they've got some great information here to go through, but when we sort of dig deeper into the project, it's clear that it's an all-in-one solution for Solana with an integrated wallet, a DEX, it's got transaction management. And really the idea here, from what I can see, is that you have all your major Solana wallets all in one place, right? It's all supported in one place, meaning that you don't need to leave the platform in order to manage your tokens. Yes, you can manage your tokens in those independent platforms, but you'll always get an updated dashboard view here all in one place. And this is key because, as we can see today within crypto, it's so segmented. If you want to perform a particular function here, or you want to go ahead and get yield over there, or transfer funds from A to B platform, you generally have to jump between multiple applications, which sometimes does lead to mistakes and problems happening and loss of funds along that way in case you make an error. And so when we look a bit more at the core platform and ultimately taking a look at what the decentralized funding element is, I mean, from here, what we can see is pools is really the core function. And with anyone holding a Solana wallet, they'll be able to distribute SBL-based tokens. And clearly, I'd say there is a concern from my perspective that anyone being able to do so, I mean, I suppose the key difference here is with other launchpads is that I suppose there's no gatekeeper. With other launchpads, you know, they choose what projects get on, which also does sometimes drive the hype and the awareness that drives behind it. But also, you can also think about, well, how much inside information do those projects have as well at the same time? How true are they to their loyal followers or users of their platform? And this can be a good or a bad thing depending on whichever way you look at it. However, it does appear that the Selenium team will still manage the front end and be able to filter and feature certain pools. So at least there is some kind of safety gate in there as well. Because there's always a concern if you're able to just spin up any random pool or a random project, which then ultimately draws funds and then potentially could run away with those funds. Now, so far we've talked about the SBL token. However, the other item to kind of bear in mind here is that the native token to this platform is the SLIM token or SLIM token. And what I like about it is the incentivization here for participants to hold on to their tokens. You see, with every pool, there is a fixed percentage of fees that will go to the xSLIM token holders and to the governance treasury. And the way you get xSLIM token is by staking your SLIM tokens for a predetermined amount of time, and I think it's up to a year that you can have it. And by doing so, you basically get rewarded with xSLIM. And so you might be thinking, well, that's great. What do I get out of having the xSLIM? And this is where I quite like the whole incentivization piece, because you're locking up the native token. And we've seen what happens in the markets when you lock up your native token. They go up in price. You're reducing the supply, the scarcity model, all of that feeds into it. So it's a really good way from a tokenomics perspective as well to kind of have a good price appreciation over time. But if we talk about the xSLIM token, this then basically qualifies you for part of the fee distribution. You also get the voting rights for governance. And as well as that, I suppose here you've got the exclusive access to pools or early access to pools as well. And so when we talk about governance, because governance is quite key, and I'm quite passionate about when it comes to governance. Initially, it's going to be a mix of centralized and blockchain voting. And I personally like the approach for many reasons, because governance is a tricky issue to the untrained eye that doesn't know much when it comes to guiding a project forward in a certain direction. Because those of us, I would say, in the crypto community, a lot are around investment. And yes, we all come from all walks of life, but some might not be familiar with in terms of how a project evolves or how you drive a project in the right direction. And so really here, I feel that initially any type of governance voting in the early stages, certainly for new projects, I would say really should be led by the project to get it to a certain level of maturity. And I say once you get to that level of maturity, then it does become easy to then pass over governance to a community to be able to decide on what new features they would rather see versus just saying, here you go, which direction do we want to go in? So I like it, and I think it's key to make sure that the platform goes in the right direction initially. The other bit that comes into place here is also the trading element. So from here, what we have is that one of the first phases within the Selenium platform is really the launch of the GUI that we can see here, which is a graphical user interface for the Serum DEX. And this is key in comparison to other launchpads, because really with other launchpads, once a pool is finalized, then you have to kind of wait to see what DEX it then goes on to. Whereas here, once a pool is finalized, you can immediately create a Serum market and start trading on the permissionless DEX. Kind of almost got, I would say, instant liquidity and trading straight out the gate. Now, let's focus a bit more on their roadmap to kind of see where they're really heading with all of these items. So if we kind of focus a bit more, roadmap's fairly straightforward. I mean, when it comes to the roadmap, Q2 mainly seems to be focused on building, as well as obviously the token sale and liquidity provision, with Q3 being the staking launch. And then we've got, obviously, you're incentivizing the users to adopt the system so they can earn their xSLIM tokens to be able to get preferential access to the first phase of the pools going live. And then, in fact, it looks like the governance is also aimed at Q1 next year, which, to be fair, makes sense. After all, as I've mentioned before, the maturity is key, getting a product up and running before you hand over any type of governance. And then the other bit really interesting is that there isn't really much mentioned about the team, so to speak. And I've looked on LinkedIn, I couldn't really find anybody there speaking openly about Selenium. But from what I have seen in the Telegram community, it seems to consist of 3 developers and 1 design lead. But we should be seeing more in the upcoming weeks, based on the various conversations, and certainly before the announcement of the public sale. The other bit that I quite impressed with, gone to their one pager, is that they have a number of backers, which are fairly impressive. If we kind of have a look at some of these guys, we've got MXC, which is a fairly reputable exchange. The other ones that kind of drew attention to me was GenBlock, and I'm always curious to kind of look at their portfolios. You've got 0x, Kyber, these are staples in endpoint liquidity. Filecoin, Zilliqa, Solana, FTX, and if we kind of go further down, you've got Arweave, the Graph, and anyone investing in the Graph, I would certainly say you are investing also in the likes of Marshall, which is somewhere that which is also good. Look, they've got Archer DAO, which is obviously flexing on the MEV, so minor extraction value elements as well. And the other piece that I saw here was Ramp DeFi. I interviewed these chaps on my channel a good few months back, and these are solid projects that are certainly performing well on the secondary market. So it always gives you an idea of looking at the backers, who they've backed before, and where those projects are today, in comparison to who they're backing now. And the other one here we've got is Rarestone Capital. So when I look at this, you've got Manta Network, Terra Virtua, you've got Web API 3, all very successful projects. And in fact, I can see a bit of harmonization between these projects that have been backed as well. Now, let's look at tokenomics, because this is something key, and a lot of people always wonder, are we going with the token? Is it a good buy? Should somebody invest in these as well? To fundamentally understand, there's two types of mindsets within the crypto. You've got the investors, and you've got those in it for the tech. So let's have a look at it from an investor's perspective. So the type are basically SPL tokens on Solana. There's roughly about 100 million SLIM fixed supply. Interestingly enough, the initial market cap is at $6 million, which is high in comparison to a lot of the projects that we already see is high. But the other piece to look at that is that one thing to look at it is that it's not generally a flip. That perspective, if you're coming in here thinking that I'm going to invest and flip off the tokens with a market cap of 6 million, you certainly won't be looking to get in and out straight away. This project, I would say, is more of a longer term hold, because you're getting success at indexing. Right, now moving on, let's just have a little look in terms of where the actual supply of these. When we have a look at these supplies, we've got about 25% that has been dedicated fundamentally for the token raise. And really here, what we've got is a split between 15% going to private, 5% going to the public. Private price is around 13, public is selling at 20. So, and the interesting part here, and then obviously if we look at seed is also 10 cent, right? Now, in all these scenarios, only 20% of the seed and private sale tokens are locked when eventually this hits the markets. And for me, that's always a good thing, because anything more than that, and certainly private sale will be looking to dump and fundamentally take their profits. And it's never good, because those who are, those who might not have been successful getting to the public launch or looking to get in slightly after, you kind of want to have a natural floor that you can get in at and feel comfortable at. And here, I think this really plays into all of that, purely because you're only getting 20% from your private or seed sale, and the likelihood of you being able to dump that 20% and be able to make back all your money straight away, I would say, is low, especially on a 6 million market cap project, because these things are going to take time. So for me, from this perspective, I would say that this is kind of more of a midterm hold, and really, and these are launchpads. They usually would be, because you're not going to dump your launchpad tokens. Likelihood is with a lot of these launchpads, you will have tiering systems, all of those items basically, which will feed into it. So really, dumping launchpad projects is not such a great thing to do, because you kind of miss the opportunity to get into future projects that are going to be based on the Solana block, on the Solana blockchain ecosystem. And so there you have it, folks. That's my overview of what I think of Selenium. I think it's a great project, and certainly I think this is one to watch, see exactly where it heads. And we kind of have a look at some of the other successes that we've seen with other launchpads on other ecosystems. You can see that they're very highly prized items, because they give you that opportunity to jump into those. And I think with Solana, we're just getting started more than anything else. So I will see you on the next one.